our feature presentation.
There isn't a way you can turn the camera over so I can see everyone?
I can't. It's kind of broken right now.
It's that's okay, no worries. As long as if everyone can see me, that's totally fine.
Everyone's able to see you. That's great. Hello, everybody.
Oh, hi.
To another Wealth Management Advisory Club meeting. This is the last meeting of the semester. And actually, this is the last meeting for me as president. So what better way to end the semester off with a bang? I can tell you that. We're going to have one of our good friends that I really know, Janill Briones-Lopez from UWORLD, speaking to us about the CPA exam, the new CPA evolution, and some exciting news actually from UWORLD's end. So guys, let's please ask a lot of questions, have a lot of fun with this meeting. And again, with that being said, Janill, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you so much, Jack. And thank you so much for having me in. My name is Janill, like Jack mentioned, Janill Briones-Lopez. I've been with the company, with UWORLD, for over 7 years now. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the CPA exam and how to gain the competitive edge. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. Let me know when you guys can see it. 1 second. I know we have to share here. Can you guys see that? Okay, perfect. Okay, wonderful. So yes, I've been with the company for 7 years now. I actually came over with Roger CPA Review by about three years ago, maybe I'll give or take a few. It seems so long ago now. We were acquired by UWORLD. And so I'll tell you a little bit more about UWORLD in just a second, but to get us started, I encourage you guys to sign into today's presentation. Let me make sure I'm on the right window here. There we go. Sign into today's presentation. It would allow me to send you guys some additional information on the CPA exam 2024 evolution, which is just around the corner. I'm pretty sure most of you, if not all, have heard a little bit about 2024 and what that entails for any candidates trying to sit for the CPA exam. But it'll also enter you into my full scholarship raffle at the end of the semester, which we are at right now. I will be actually announcing that winner in another couple of weeks. And I will also, like I said, send you additional information, including our free trial link and a code that I will share at the end of this presentation for our Elite Unlimited course. So if any of you are graduating seniors and are already planning to sit for the CPA exam, this would be a great opportunity to save money, especially if like your firm doesn't pay for it, for example. Even if they do, it's also a great opportunity to learn more about our company and how we can help. So UWORLD has been around since 2003. We are considered a leader in education technology. We've helped over 2 million students prepare for their high stakes exams. And you may not be as familiar with our name because we've mostly been living in the medical space, helping medical students, nursing students, pharmaceutical students with their high stakes exams, such as the USMLE, the NCLEX, and other exams that pertain to that medical field. It's only been in the past 5 to 6 years that we kind of really stepped into the accounting and finance space, and with accounting specifically with the acquisition for Roger CPA Review about, like I said, 3 years ago. And so with that acquisition and with the most recent acquisition for the Wiley the Well product, which is the Wiley, help me out here, I always forget what it's called.
Yeah,
but it's like
the Wiley efficient learning.
The efficient learning part, I always forget what it's called, but yes, we also took over the CPA, CFA, CMA, and the additional products that Wiley used to offer, and they will be living under the UWORLD umbrella in just a couple of more months after 2024 comes to play. It'll all be one product, so that's pretty exciting, and it'll just be under UWORLD. So when it comes to the CPA exam, of course, we're not just considered an exam prep. We do make CPAs career ready. With our program, we've helped hundreds of students pass the CPA exam up to 3 times faster with our technology embedded in our course, which is Smart Path, which I'll talk a little bit about towards the end. And we have a proven pass rate of 94% with the content in our course, along with the mix of that technology as well. And so I'll be happy to talk to you a little bit about how our course can really help you pass the CPA exam if that's the path that you're willing to take and you're interested in taking closer towards the end. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about why becoming a CPA. If you're here today, hopefully maybe you are on that path of considering the CPA license as one of your goals for your professional careers. And then we're going to talk about the current versus 2024 CPA exam. So I know I can't see you guys, but out of show of hands or just kind of like yell it out, how many of you are graduating seniors and will potentially be able to sit for parts of the current CPA exam now?
Everyone raise your hand if you can. About 4 seniors, and I think one of them, I think, is a prize.
4?
Yes, 4.
Okay, great. We don't need an exact number. I just wanted an idea, just to kind of develop like my talking points a little better. So that's great. So if you are a senior, you might be sitting for the CPA exam this year. It'll be then we have like some pathways to consider in case you do want to get one or multiple parts done before the end of the year. Like I said, we're gonna explore those pathways, and then we're gonna talk about getting from point A, which is now, to CPA. So if you are interested in a career in accountant in the accounting profession, it's a really exciting time to consider the CPA license. Why? As we're going to talk about when we're exploring what the CPA evolution is really about, there has just been a lot more opportunities and different types of fields of specialization in accounting, especially for incoming candidates. More use of data analytics and other technological advances in the business has created this need for a different type of accountant to come into the industry, which is a little bit as to why the exam is really exploring this new form of testing that critical knowledge for understanding the data and understanding decision making around that data and other industry explorations, because of the advancements in technology that has really come to play in just the last decade or so. So because of that changing profession, the exam needed to find a way to protect the public interest, which is why they're, again, testing that critical knowledge and incoming CPAs is the response. It's the AICPA's and NASBA's response to the needs of today's marketplace. So it's nothing, it's not change for the sake of change. It's very purposeful, and the way that they have, I guess, explain what the new model is meant to. It's really meant to be more flexible for incoming candidates and give you more opportunity, not just from someone coming from an accounting background, but you can have a background in IT, for instance, and you might want to consider a career in accounting. So it's meant to attract different types of candidates from different backgrounds. And it's very interesting as well. So if you're a graduating senior, or if you're not, these are some tips to consider if you are a graduate, if you are considering to sit for the CPA exam. It is known fact that as soon as you sit for the exam, the sooner you take it, the better it is, not just for your chances of passing, but also for your career. So let's explore. Fact number 1 is that the sooner you take the exam after graduation, the more likely you'll pass the first time. And this is based on data from the AICPA. Over years and years of seeing candidates come and take the exam at different points of their career, either right after the graduation or somewhere within their first or second year of already being a professional, or just 10 years down the line and they decide they want to be a licensed professional. The data shows that the closer you are to your graduation date, or to rephrase it, the closer you are to the date of your eligibility to sit, then the more likely you will pass the first time. And if you really think about it, it makes sense. If you're an accounting major, you will most likely have taken a bunch of courses that cover the majority of the topics that are covered on the CPA exam. If you're in a high quality, like you guys are, accounting department, will most likely have the CPA, not the CPA exam, but the accounting classes that you need to take, the coursework is most likely structured to help you get through the CPA exam, or at least prepare you to sit for it. So it makes it more of a review if you sit for the exam right after you graduate, because everything's still fresh. It becomes more of a practice because you're remembering things as opposed to learning new materials down the line that you may not have covered in school. Imagine an accountant right now that wants to sit for the CPA exam, going through it or considering it now, and the exam is going to change with all of these extra new content that you may have not covered. So it does become a very different scenario. So do consider that. Fact number 2 is that the sooner you pass, the larger your firm bonus. So it's no secret that most of the top 100 accounting firms provide some sort of bonus incentive if you come in with a CPA exam done, or if you finish it within the first year or even couple of years. They usually have a tier depending on the firm. So you can possibly be leaving anywhere between $1,000 to $10,000 on the table if you don't consider passing the CPA exam as soon as you can, especially if you're already planning to work in that area or that field. And then fact number 3 is that the longer you delay, the more missed career opportunities. So again, in most public accounting firms, you do require a CPA license in order to move up to a managerial position, especially if you're working in tax or in audit. So if you're looking and you're feeling ambitious, you want to move up to manager and above, even maybe partner one day, you absolutely need to get your CPA license. And so that process would absolutely be delayed if you still need to get your license in order to get those promotional opportunities. So these are just 3 things to consider, especially for your career. So how do we gain the competitive edge now that the 2024 CPA evolution is right around the corner? First thing you want to do is understand where you are in the process. Are you eligible to sit? When will you be eligible to sit? Understand what is tested on the CPA exam. So understand the content, so that way you can make better decisions to which part you might want to sit for first, and then set a game plan for success. So let's start with you meeting your state CPA requirements. Now, if most of you are planning to sit for the exam in New Jersey, then you would need a minimum of 120 semester credits. With the bachelor's degree, with 24 credits in accounting and 24 in business. So eventually you will need the 150 to get your license, but to get started on the exam, you just need the bachelor's degree with a minimum of 120 and 24 credits in accounting and 24 in business. So that's something that sometimes when I speak to students, they don't know about. They think that they have to stay in school to get the 150 and then start the process. But it's actually more beneficial to try and sit for 1 or 2 during your 5th year of your bachelor's. Well, I take that back. Your 5th year of school or your master's. And I take the bachelor's back because if you're in school, but you don't declare your bachelor's or you don't have your bachelor's on your transcript, unfortunately, you cannot sit for the CPA exam until that bachelor's is cleared on your transcript. So that's always a little bit of a hurdle if you're not planning on moving on to a master's program. So that's something to consider as well. If you are planning to wait until you get the 150 credits with the 24 credits in accounting and 24 in business, that's fine as well. But as soon as you obtain that, as soon as you get your bachelor's degree, you should go and send in your application to sit for the CPA exam. And then eventually to get your license, you will also need about a year of accounting experience under a licensed CPA with a mix of experience. I know before it used to be about 25% of auditing experience, but now they changed the verbiage to recommend a good mix of different kinds of experience in auditing and tax and assurance, etc. And eventually you also need to take a mandatory state ethics exam, which in New Jersey, it's the New Jersey ethics course. Okay. Now let's set up your game plan for success. Let's dive right into the core plus discipline model. Now, for those of you who are planning to sit for the current CPA exam, I will touch a little bit on the 4 parts before I get too deep into the core plus model. We will talk about different pathways, but for the most part, it's good to understand that not much has changed on the CPA exam since they announced that this exam will be coming up around the corner. There are different things to consider when it comes to the parts that you want to take. But you also might want to consider sitting for a discipline if you're not planning to finish all 4 parts within this year. So let me get into this now. This new model was introduced about a year, over 2 years ago at this point. And it's representing a strong core that all incoming candidates for CPA license and just accounting professionals in general would need to know in topics of accounting, tax, and audit, with an underlying theme of technology. So technology is infused throughout this entire exam in the core, which has its traditional all information you would already know, but especially in the disciplines as well. Getting into the disciplines, there are 3 that you can choose from, only 1. So tax compliance and planning, business analysis and reporting, and information systems and control. So now the current exam is a 4-part exam that you would have to complete all 4 parts to get the credit for the exam. Or now you have the option to do mandatory 3 core exams and choose 1 discipline as your mandatory 4th part. But the nice thing about that 4th part is that you can choose. You have the option to choose your discipline. This is supposed to reflect the reality of the practice. Again, it's a lot more flexible. There are different areas of specialization that incoming candidates or incoming accountants can now explore in their professional lives, that it makes sense that a CPA exam would reflect that same level of flexibility and adaptiveness. And it's evolving with the profession. What I've been saying about this exam is that it's really playing catch up to what's already happening at the firms. If most of you have already experienced some sort of internship over the last summer or winter, perhaps, you have already seen a lot of this advancement in technology. You probably already use it and are probably already used to it by now, probably using it in your class or whatnot. So the CPA exam is really just catching up with that technology and the way that they're testing it at the exam level. So because you now have a choice in this 4th exam, it really gives candidates an advantage, because you need to pass 4, but you can select one that you feel extremely confident in or passionate about. So if you are a candidate, let's say you're very, IT savvy, and you already know about all these different processes. So it's very possible that you might be interested in the ISC exam, which is the Information Systems and Control discipline, that would cover topics like assurance or advisory service role related to a client's business processes, information systems, information security and governance, or even IT audits. Now, if you're a candidate who might be interested in assurance or advisory services, financial statement analysis and reporting, technical accounting, or even financial and operations management, then you might consider the bar exam, which is business analysis and reporting, and could be considered kind of like an extension of the bar exam, which is financial accounting and reporting. Now, TCP, the last one here, is tax compliance and planning. And that one is clearly, it's a tax one. So it revolves around, it's more concentrated in individual tax compliance and planning, personal financial planning, and entity tax compliance and planning. So if, for example, if you're someone who is interested in working in tax, for instance, then this might be the option for you, the TCP. Because now you have the reg exam, which is a core, and then the extension to that is TCP, because it covers different angles of tax topics. So because of this choice, it really does bring advantage to the incoming candidates to select a topic that they might find beneficial for them, at the very least, in order to help them pass the CPA exam, because they feel very strongly in that particular subject matter. So the current CPA exam, as you can see on the left here, is what it looks like right now. We have audit, we have BEC, FAR, and regulation. But the BEC content isn't going away. So the exam BEC is going to stop being administered by the end of this year. December 15th is the last day you can take it. And so that doesn't mean, though, that BEC, the content covered on BEC will cease to exist within the CPA exam world. What's happening here is that once we move over to the new exam, that content has been broken up and divided amongst 2 core and 2 disciplines. So we're going to talk a little bit about why taking BEC might be the most advantageous if you are planning to sit for at least one before the end of the year. Okay, so let's take a look at the breakdown of BEC. BEC currently covers all of these topics. So these topics will then show up in 2024 in these 4 exams. So economics and requesting, preparing, and transforming data will be moved over to the audit exam. Financial statement ratios are moving over to FAR. Managerial and cost accounting and budgeting are moving over to the BAR discipline. And then of course, IT and data management are moving over to ISC. So if you're thinking about taking any parts this year, it's really advantageous to sit for BEC, because at the very least, you won't have to sit for the any of the disciplines, because you'll have a credit for BEC if you pass it. And then you'll see some of the topics reemerge in audit and FAR if you haven't taken any of those core yet. The 2024 CPA exam structure also looks very similar to the current structure now. But as you can see, the only exam that has a little bit of a different score weighing system is the ISC discipline, because it's very heavy on multiple choice questions. And it has 1 less task-based simulation compared to the remaining, with the exception of regulation. So you can see that that might be something that students might consider if they feel like they're more strong in multiple choice than task-based simulations, because they'll have a better chance of getting a higher score. But that's completely up to you if you get to that point. Remember, ISC, it's probably the heaviest on technology. And if you feel like you're really, I guess, your verbiage and your understanding of how those systems work and how to understand it on a more critical level, then you might want to consider the ISC exam. Early data from what candidates are letting the AICPA know is that they are strongly leaning towards BAR because it's familiar, and most likely you've already covered it at school. All of your advanced accounting, for instance, which is currently covered in FAR, is actually moving over to BAR. So you guys already probably took advanced accounting. So that's covered in BAR. So that's probably why most people are leaning towards BAR, but it doesn't mean that everyone needs to. And I wanted to stress that there are other opportunities in other disciplines as well. So as I've been mentioning, there are ways to kind of plan around sitting for the CPA exam if you are eligible at the end of this year or at the end of the semester, and will want to take at least one before the transition happens. Luckily, though, there has been this pathway transition policy place for candidates such as yourselves that could potentially want to take one or two before the end of the year. If you take and pass either BEC, Reg, FAR, or audit, you will have an appropriate credit for that exam in the 2024 evolution. So for instance, audit, FAR, and Reg all have a counterpart core, but BEC, because that exam is going away, will give you a credit for one of the disciplines. It won't give you a credit for a specific discipline, it'll just be credited. So as if you pass BEC and that's your credit, meaning you don't have to sit for a discipline. Why is this an advantage? A lot of the new content will actually be in the discipline. So the core area won't actually experience any new content. As I said, these are more traditional topics that you've already known and incoming candidates would already need to know and understand. But most of the new material that have never been tested on the CPA exam, mind you, not necessarily have not been tested at the school level or the university level, will show up on the disciplines. So that's an advantage to incoming candidates because you won't have to sit for a discipline if you pass BEC now. So what do? So let's talk a little bit about building out a plan, deciding when you are planning to sit, whether it's now or immediately after this semester, soon, hopefully maybe over the summer or sometime in the future, perhaps it's 2024. that's okay. Let's explore the different pathways. As I mentioned earlier, the advantages of sitting for the CPA exam early are there. There are plenty of reasons why you want to sit, give yourself the best chance of passing. The changes are coming, so you can avoid them. So this will be our number one recommendation for anyone who can sit now. Try to get it done, pass all 4 parts as soon as possible, and you can avoid any changes and enjoy licensure sooner. It's absolutely doable. It's absolutely doable, especially if you have a summer off and you're just dedicating it to pass the CPA exam. You can do it in 3 months time, 6 months time. You still have plenty of time left. But if let's be realistic, perhaps a lot of you have work over the summer, or maybe you're taking additional classes and you want to be more, what's the word? Conservative with your time. If you're eligible to sit for at least one, we would strongly recommend BEC. If concepts that are covered in BEC, like cost accounting, managerial accounting, for instance, are easier for you, then you might want to consider passing that one before the end of the year. That way you'll avoid taking a discipline. But like I said, passing the CPA exam now isn't your only option. It is probably the best option, but it's not the only one. If you're strong in technology, as I mentioned earlier, but you struggle in some concepts tested on BEC, like economics, for instance, it's not or even cost accounting, then maybe you might want to consider the ISC exam in 2024. Avoid taking BEC and plan around taking maybe one of the other core exams, like maybe RAG or audit, and then leave a choice of discipline in 2024 for yourself, specifically ISC, if that's what you're interested in. Another option here, again, more advantageous for anyone planning to sit for the exam in 2024, is that FAR is a bit overwhelming now. If we were to make recommendations for which part to sit for the current exam, we normally would have said, take FAR first, because it's the most intense of the 4 parts, because it covers the most material and it takes the longest time to study. However, that is changing in 2024, I'm happy to report, because some of the more complicated topics are being moved over to the bar exam. So far in 2024, with the exception of the added content coming from BEC, will actually be a little bit lighter than the current bar. So that's something that you can also consider when you're planning your game plan for the CPA exam. And then again, like I said, other options to consider if you don't want to sit for BEC, and let's say you're excited about taking TCP, is to consider passing either regulation or even audit now before the end of the year. Regulation currently has high pass rates. To give you an example, 60% compared to the average 50 of all 4 parts. So you have a good chance of passing reg if you're already savvy in those topics. And considering audit may actually be a little more difficult in 2024, because none of the harder topics are moving out of audit. It's remaining in the audit exam, but there's going to be additional information added to the exam that would come from the BEC exam. So that's something to also keep in mind as well when you're developing a game plan. Now, if none of this matters, you're not going to be eligible until the end of next semester, or you're not planning to sit for the CPA exam until after 2024 anyway, then we're taking 2024 CPA exam. It is what it is, but planning would still be very beneficial. Again, start with considering what discipline might be good for you, because now while you're in school is the best time to take or consider what electives would be a really good elective to help you in any of those disciplines, for instance. And then when you're actually planning for the CPA exam, you want to jump in to the most difficult section and then take the chosen discipline after its related core section. There are 3 disciplines, and each of them have a relation to one of the core. So BAR is related to FAR, TCP is related to REG, and ISC is slightly related to audit. It's not like one-on-one, it's not like in the full extension like the other 2, but because some of the processes are already used in audit, in the audit profession, it kind of works together. So that's something to consider. And then each discipline builds off in the core. So plan on sitting for the discipline immediately after that, after the core section. Now, let's talk a little bit about establishing some efficient study habits when it comes to working on your CPA exam game plan and building out your schedule. So things to consider when you're studying for the exam is, the first thing is, and I have to plug it in here, go and use expert developed resources like a review course. It is to your advantage to really consider a review course to help you in your studies. I can speak for UWorld, of course, but we work directly with the AICPA to map out our questions to make sure that we are aligned with what they're testing on the exam. If the topic is not on the AICPA blueprints, for instance, which are the map of, it's pretty much the map of everything that could potentially be tested on the CPA exam and the level of difficulty that it'll show up on the exam, then it's not going to be in our course. It's mapped directly to the blueprints so that you're getting the best quality questions and the most accurate type of questions. You also want to consider proven active learning methods to master concepts. Active learning methodology is not a new concept. It is something that's very proven and helps different types of candidates study at the level that they study best, whether they're active learners via visual, via auditory, via kinesthetics. There's different ways of learning, and therefore that's something to take consideration into. Optimizing time management, meaning know exactly what you'll be doing when you're planning to study for the exam. For example, are you going to have the summer off? Will you be taking a class over the summer or doing an internship? Or do you have a specific timeline that you want to hit? You want to make sure that you're considering all of these things when you're planning out your schedule for your studies. And then using the study tools that help all learning styles and maximizing technology to help you do that as well. When it comes to time management, creating a study planner is always key. Keeping yourself organized, but also being realistic and trying to stick to it as much as possible. It's great to plan out a month of study time, but if it's not real, if you're not really going to get through it, you're just going to set yourself up for failure. So being realistic with yourself, knowing your limits and knowing what you can actually accomplish will help you build a better study planner. And then always study on the go with the technology. Of course, technology is a huge theme on this exam, but also in our everyday lives. We pretty much live with our phones in our hands, so why not use those tools to help us study? Listen to lectures, use the flashcard app tool that we have, or whatever, however you'd like to use it. Our app actually accesses our entire course right on the phone. So all of the textbook, all of the flashcards, all of the lectures, everything, even the multiple choice questions and task-based simulations. And then you also want to use data-driven insights, like to identify your strengths and weaknesses to help you study more efficiently. Now, this is the part where I talk a little bit about SmartPath and how we help our candidates. So our data-driven technology, SmartPath predictive technology, is what we help our candidates use to identify their strengths and weaknesses. The way that it works is that when you're in the course, you're studying, you're listening to your lectures, and then you're taking practice questions. As you take those practice questions, you can identify where the areas are that you need improvement or that you're meeting your targets. These targets are based on proven data from previous successful candidates. So when you're in the program, you can tell how many more questions you may need to take for, to get you at the level where you need to be on target to take the exam, at least within that particular subject matter. And you can identify where are the areas that you need to spend more time in, whether it's you haven't hit your target average score or target number of questions that you've attempted. That way you can go back and spend more time in the course. Now, when you're taking our practice questions, we do take an active learning approach when we develop our answer explanations. Now, a lot of our questions, not all, a lot of them are from the AICPA and have been questions that are either in the exam or just throwaway questions. So we take those questions and we add them to our course. But it's the way that we develop our answer explanations that really set up the difference between us and our competitors and other CPA review courses out on the market. This is a legacy approach to CPA review. Just to give you an idea, this is a BEC question So it's covering freely fluctuating exchange rate perform. So this question asks, which functions do freely fluctuating exchange rates perform? And the answer here is C, automatically correct equilibrium, the balance of payments. The answer explanation here states that choice C is correct. As we have mentioned in other explanations of other questions, sometimes questions that are related to the AICPA are related because they will never be used again, or were test questions that didn't make it to the recurring database. This may be the case with this question, but it is a good learning experience for candidates as questions like this may appear on any exam. So I read about half of that explanation, and it doesn't actually cover the topic that it's explaining, and then it gives you a kind of a feeble explanation where it says, according to the examiners, it appears that freely fluctuating exchange rates correct the lack of equilibrium in the balance of payments. It is clear that none of the other choices are correct. It is unclear what the statement in C even means, but it is the correct answer, and we know that none of the others are correct. That is a word-for-word explanation from the legacy review course out on the market. We have taken that same question and have taken an active learning approach. And so in this case, when we provide you the explanation, we start off by providing you some data. So it says here that 62% of our candidates are getting it right, meaning that it's not as obvious for other candidates as the legacy review course recommends or makes it seems. It looks like 19% select C, 12% select D. So there's definitely a bit of a disconnect. Now we go into the answer explanations. As I mentioned, we take on an active learning approach, meaning there are different types of learners. There are visual learners, kinesthetic learners, auditory learners. So in this case, we start off with an illustration for every single one of our explanations. And in this one, it says types of exchange rate systems, freely fluctuating, which is what the question's about, fixed and managed. So you kind of get a bigger picture of the topic. Then we go into an in-depth explanation where we explain why the correct answer is correct, but also why each of the incorrect answers are incorrect. And sometimes the disconnect happens here, and you kind of get that light bulb moment when you understand, well, I may have thought about it in a certain way, and now I understand why it was wrong. So I'm gonna, I'm not gonna make this mistake moving forward. And this is where the active learning happens. If you think about a child touching something really hot and then understanding why it's, burning their little fingers, then it's kind of like that. You make that mistake, you learn from the mistake. And so when our candidates are choosing the wrong answers, they're learning why they may have thought this way. And so they're changing the way that they think based on the explanation. And finally, we give you a key takeaway summarizing the topic. And so imagine all of our questions are aligned like this. And so because there's so many different topics on the CPA exam across all different subject matter, auditing, tax, FAR, for instance, there's going to be some topics that are a lot easier for you guys, because at the end of the day, for those who are in accounting and you understand the concepts, it's going to be mostly review. But then there's going to be the difficult topics that you're like, oh, I keep tripping up on this particular topic. Why? That's when this system really comes into play and will help you get over that 75 exam score hurdle. So as a thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation, I want to extend a really great discount for our 4-part Elite Unlimited bundle. It covers all that, all the 4 parts that you would need to pass the CPA exam now. And if you're planning to sit for the exam in 2024 anyway, you would have an free updates for all 4 parts that you would be considering. So you wouldn't have to rebuy the course or anything like that. You would have everything available to you as soon as the new material is available, which should be by October. But this is a really great price. Just to compare, the sale price on our website is $18.99. So this is saving you an additional $400 for anyone who's looking to really invest in their future. And in our review course, it's like I said, it's unlimited access. You don't have to worry about it expiring. And it's a great way to help you master the concept with those detailed questions and answer explanations, and help you reach your goals faster with our Smart Path predictive technology and our study planners as well. And because of the way we take the approach for how do we explain the concepts, you can practice with over thousands of questions as well. And that's my presentation. I want to thank you for the time that you've spared me, you've given me to share that information. I would love to answer some questions if you guys have them. I hope you found the information helpful. How many of you will actually be sitting for the exam? If you have any questions, please let me know. If not, make sure to sign up on the QR code. It's the same one from earlier. If you didn't get a chance to do it earlier, as a quick reminder, I will have like a scholarship raffle at the end of the semester, which we are at now. I should be announcing that winner on my LinkedIn page by hopefully mid-May or the end of May. And then I will also send you additional information, including our 2024 ebook and the free trial link to try out the course. Of course, before you commit, you always want to try it before you buy. So I would highly encourage trying out the free trial. Even if it's not now, whenever you do decide on sitting for the CPA exam and trying out your review course, definitely take all the free trials that you can, so you can see what you're actually getting into. And I can guarantee you that you'd really like our course.
Yeah. All right, this is time, guys, to ask your questions. Obviously, if anyone didn't want to start, unless I will start, I'll start. Can you talk about the scholarship that you're offering? Because I know I know about it. I know some of our members probably don't know about it. But can you explain a little bit about what that is, and if they enter it, what they would win if they get selected?
Sure. So the Unlimited course, which is the course I just had the code for, that is the scholarship I'd be able to give. I have 3 to give for this semester. Last semester I gave 3 as well, and I announced those winners on my LinkedIn page. So I will be giving 3 full scholarships for that as well, for 3 lucky students. So you never know, and it's completely random. Just so you also know, we do have a national scholarship. I believe that one just kind of passed, though. The deadline for that one was, I want to say, last week. But that one would have been like a national scholarship, like anyone could have entered. But this one specifically for me and for my region, so it's a little more close knit. So you have a better chance of getting chosen.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit, because I know I'm a campus ambassador for UWorld. Can you talk a little bit about that, obviously, because I know some of our members here are interested maybe in joining.
That's great. Yeah, no, absolutely. So Jack is my current campus representative, which is great. He's been amazing. And I will, unfortunately, because he's leaving, I will be looking for a replacement for FDU. So if you are interested, please send me an email with your application, or at least, connect with Jack as well. Basically, I would need someone to help me market UWorld on the campus, share the love of what we can offer to anyone in accounting, but not just accounting, also in finance. I know this presentation was mostly about the CPA exam, but we also offer CFA level 1 and level 2 on our UWorld platform. And like I mentioned, since we acquired the Wiley product earlier this year, about a month ago at this point, we will soon be able to offer a lot more. We'll just to kind of be a little more candid with you about that. We will be able to offer their products under our house once we bring it up to our UWorld standard, to say the least. We have a specific standard within our content, so that's kind of what we want to do once we get that situated. But it's really exciting. We will have a lot more to offer, but currently, at least on our UWorld website, you'll see CPA review, which we just talked about, and our CFA level 1 and level 2.
Yeah, obviously, I'm going to still be around for a couple more semesters. So, if anyone's interested, please feel free to reach out to me, obviously, when the time does come.
Yes, one of the benefits of being a campus representative is that you would have the opportunity to earn a review course by the end of 1 year of service. And we can talk further about what else a campus rep's duties would entail, especially since we're kind of in between programs. The program right now, we're kind of revamping it, so it'll be a little different in fall 2023. So definitely let me know.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else have any other questions? Anyone in person, Zoom?
Yes, I actually do. Hi, thank you so much for coming. I'm also the vice president of the club, and I have a question. What would you say sets your review course apart from the other CPA exam prep options?
That's a great question, Gloria. And I would probably go back to the basic answer that it's our content and our technology. The content, just like I just showcased on the question example, is pretty unique to UWorld and how we take our approach for those high stakes exams. So this is a technique that has been used in USMLE and our NCLEX exams. And so it has found a lot of success in that area of high stakes examining, but never has been approached in the CPA space. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring that extra active learning methodology into the CPA space, and not just CPA. CFA is actually expressed in the same approach, but yeah, like that's really one of the main differences. And the other one is Smart Path Predictive Technology. Smart Path Predictive Technology is pretty unique to our course. It is developed with our data, and so it no other review course has Smart Path Predictive Technology the way that we have it. I know that there are other systems in other courses, but I can speak to Smart Path, and it's pretty unique to our way of detecting how exam ready you are.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank
Thank
you.
you for your question.
Sure. Thank you.
I guess I have another question. Obviously I've heard that basically, you know, it's better to start younger when you're in college to pass the CPA exam than start later. Is that true? Because I heard from like, I don't know from like what data source, is that they actually, I think it was like a chart they had. It was like, oh, like, you know, the earlier you take the exam, the higher chance you have it pass, like as like, if, you know, if you take it when you're like in your 40s and you have a lower chance of passing. Do you feel like that's true for like the CPA exam?
Yes, that is true. Based on data, it's you have the higher chance of passing the first time around if you take it as soon as you're eligible for it. I wouldn't say it depends, because if you're 40, for instance, because it wouldn't be an ages thing. If you're 40 and you just graduated college, it would probably be the same level of chance, because you've just gone through the motions, you've just gone through all of the parts, all the courses that would cover the relevant material. And now you have just as much of a chance as someone who is a little bit younger and graduating college. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily an age thing. I would say it's the level of where you are immediately after you graduate or immediately after you're eligible for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. You know, I think we had time for one more question, obviously. What would be one piece of advice you want to give to Eddie? Because I know we have in this room right now, we have a couple of, just judging by, I know a couple of you guys by your faces. I know some of your accounting majors who are planning on maybe taking the CPA exam or CMA exam. What would be the one piece of advice you want to give them?
One piece of advice is to get your support team, get your people. And that's a little vague, but I would say definitely build out a support team of friends, colleagues, and other people who just know that you're going to be going through hopefully a short period of time where you're unavailable, and you might need their help to either help you with, house chores or your other responsibilities, or, maybe you're going to need the time to be dedicated to study for this exam, and you want their understanding, you want their support, you want their cheering on, because at the end of the road, you will get your exam done and you will be free of it. But there's a specific time, if you put your mind to it, that it might be a year, it might be less than that, it might be more than that, hopefully not too much more, because you'll still have that time limit after a while. But you want them to understand that you're not going to be around to go to every single party, or you're not going to be able to join every single event outside of your study time, work time, because this is really important to you and you want to get it done. So I would say that's something that is understated sometimes. You don't, usually you just talk about you getting into your studies, building out your study plan, but you also have to acknowledge that we're all people and we sometimes all need that support. So I would just say, get your people, round them up and let them know you're going to take the CPA exam and you want them to understand that you're not going to be around and you want them to still be there after you finish. So that's my advice.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for this awesome talk you gave us with the CPA evolution. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I hope it was helpful. And please, if anyone ever has additional questions, maybe they were too shy to ask, feel free to just send me a direct email and I'd be happy to answer them as well as I can. I also do one-on-one advising sessions free of charge, just complimentary. So if you want help planning out your journey, like let's look at your schedule, let's look at some of the tools that would be helpful for you. I'm your gal. So definitely don't be shy and connect with me on LinkedIn.
Yes, absolutely. I think all our members should do that after this meeting, hopefully. But yes, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Okay, wonderful. All right, thank you so much for having me, everyone. Good luck on the remainder of your semester, and good luck on finals.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay behind, announcements. All right, this is where the sad part comes, and I'm not gonna shed a tear. I'm not gonna cry. This is just, it's freaking emotional to me, obviously. So obviously, as most of you have known, Gloria and I have run for Beta Alpha Psi positions. And luckily we were able to win those positions as president and vice president. And we're super happy about that. Which actually has led us to a decision that, I think it's time to make, and we both came to the agreement about this. After talking about it for a couple of weeks, talked about it with our e-board and with outside sources, as of today, Thursday, May 4th, 2023, Gloria Petruska, Jack Mitchell will be stepping down as the president and vice president of Wealth Management Advisory Club. I know it's kind of a shock to most of you. I know that, this club means a lot to me. It really means the world to me. Obviously, I've been here since the very beginning. And I want nothing but the best for this club. And I know Gloria's been here since the very beginning as well. And I am so proud of everything that we've accomplished over the past year and a half almost. And I can't believe I'm even saying that. I've been in this club for 3 years and probably 2 years as an e-board member, 1 year and a half as president. But obviously I want to make the announcement now that who will be taking over the club. So the new vice president of the I'm sorry. I'm trying to calm my emotions. I'm trying not to cry here. So this is, I'm trying to, this is freaking emotional for me. I really do love this club so much.
It's not like you're not part of the club.
I know. So the new vice president, it's actually is a former e-board member of WMA Club back when I was president from the very beginning. And I believe he has shown interest in actually coming back and becoming the new vice president. So, ladies and gentlemen, the new VP is Louis Mignon III, which is very exciting. And the new president, obviously some of you guys may have known this person just based off the last name. But the new president of the Wealth Management Advisory Club starting in August 2023, I can happily say this, is Ryan Sickinger. Many of you probably remember Sickinger because her sister Emily Sickinger was actually the treasurer of Beta Alpha Psi back in the day when me and Gloria were part of Beta Alpha Psi. No, they're not on the Zoom. I told them if they could come and want to say some words, but they unfortunately can't make it. So with that being said, I'm going to leave this up to Gloria and I just say our final goodbyes and our final words, what we want to say. I'm obviously going to let the old saying goes, ladies go first, and I'm not going to really gonna let Gloria say her goodbyes and say her thank yous and everything, and then yeah, so then I'll deal with me, and then we're gonna close this semester out.
Oh, thank you for letting me go first, but I feel sad. So thank you so much, guys. It was nice being a part of the club, and I'm really happy and glad that we achieved like so much in the past and now. And I feel bad that we're leaving the club, but we know it's in the right hands. And obviously with like the grad courses and everything, we don't want the club to like suffer. So I'm I'm sad, but on the other hand, I'm happy that somebody else is gonna like take care of the club because we really love the club a lot. So, but we thank everybody for contributing to the club and doing the best they could, attending our events, and we really appreciate it, guys. So I hope you can continue doing the same and love the club like we do. So yeah, let's keep like doing amazing things. We will be here to help anytime. So let's still keep BMA amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gloria, for that. All right, now it's my turn. I was going to prepare a speech, but I'm very bad at doing this. I'm just gonna go shoot straight from the hip at this point. I did talk to Professor Koza about this, and he did have a lot of nice words to say about me taking over this club. And, I really appreciate that. But I really have a lot of people really want to thank in such a short time. I want to make sure everyone gets out of here and focus on their finals. First of all, I want to thank God. Without him, I wouldn't be here today. I want to thank my parents. I want to thank my brother. They always are in my corner, obviously, to help me out. I want to thank every single past EBOR member I've had. And I could probably run off the list at the top of my head: Louie, Gloria, Zoe, Rhea, oh my gosh, Lindsay, Julia, Gary, Nick, Hunter. Obviously we've had some members come and go, and even Mitchell. I forgot about you, and Kevin. Jesus God, I'm trying not to cry, so that's what I'm trying not to do. Obviously I want to thank FDU Silberman for allowing me to be a part of FDU Silberman and run this awesome club. And like I said in the beginning of the semester, when we said this was going to be the biggest semester we ever had, we were not lying about that. We had a total of 56 meetings and events, which is the biggest amount of meetings we've ever had in this club's history. And on top of that, the biggest amount in any FDU Silberman's club's history. And on top of that, as of this meeting, we were able to topple as a grand total for the amount of people that watched our meetings, have come to our meetings in person this semester. Over 250,000 people have came and watched these meetings and come to these meetings. And obviously we've achieved a lot of things. First FDU Silberman club to be verified on social media with Getter, and also to have around, I don't know, like 15,000 followers on Instagram and probably 10,000 on TikTok, which, obviously the e-board and I, when we do these big feats, we're very proud of ourselves. I know we had some good days, we had some bad days, and I'm not going to bring up the bad days because I don't want to cover the past, but honestly, it's just, this is really going to be an emotional. This actually was leading up to this. I really was, I honestly almost cried. But I want to thank one more person. Obviously, I want to thank Professor Koza. He saw something in me that I never thought, any advisor would give me the opportunity to run a club like this. And I told him this from day one when I became president, that I will make this club the most popular and most prestigious business club at FDU Silberman. And I felt like, and my time as president, that we were able to achieve that within a year's time. With the great e-board that I've had. Obviously I want to thank Gloria, even though sometimes I BS with her about clubs every single day, which I do apologize for that. I really do. It's everything I talk about. It's really, the club's my life, which I really hate to say it, but it is. But obviously, this club is always going to have a special place in my heart. It really will. And I'm so happy that I was able to bring this club to new heights and make this club probably the best, in my opinion, the best business club at FDU Silberman. And I'm going to say that till I go to my grave. I'm going to really mean that. But really, I want to thank you, Professor Koza, for everything you've done for this club, because if it wasn't for you starting this club 3 years ago, if it wasn't for you starting this club and me never joining, this would never have happened. We would never have had this amount of success that we've had. And I know that he's reached out to me today actually to talk to me about it. And he did let me know that, my thanks to you and your team, Jack. You did an extraordinary job with the club and understanding your leadership. And obviously, the message on the board here actually says another thing. With thanking the both of us for everything you've done for the club. We will dearly miss you. Good luck in your future endeavors. Always remember where you came from. Be sure to visit the club anytime, and thanks for the memories. And yeah, and you know, it's gonna suck that we're leaving, but I know that this club's gonna be in the right hands, and I trust Ryan and Louis, and they have my full endorsement. They have Gloria's full endorsement. And you know, it's gonna be okay. And I know Mitchell and Kevin are still gonna be on this e-board. I know they're still gonna be, you know, making sure everything runs smoothly. And you know, it's not the last time you're gonna see me at WMA. I'll still be here as a member, but I will always still be here if they ever need me to help them out for any advice they need. So with that being said, that really is it. I appreciated my time as president, and we're now moving on to bigger and better things. And like the old saying goes, not all good things can't last forever. And, you know, we have to move on and be better people, better versions of ourselves. And we are going to do that today. So I will leave you with this. This is not a goodbye. To see you soon. So with that being said, I officially am closing the 2023 spring semester to a close. And to everybody, have a happy and healthy Cinco de Mayo tomorrow. Then that will be a little bit crazy. Have a great summer. Good luck on your internships. Good luck on finals. And you'll be seeing a lot more of Louis and Ryan running the club, and they will see you. And also Mitchell and Kevin, did not forget about them, in August. So with that being said, this is the final time I'm going to sign off for this club. This is Jack Mitchell, president of the WMA Club, signing off. Thank you guys for everything you guys have done for us. And we really appreciate it. So with that, thank you, and have a great rest of your evening, guys. Thank you.